Earlier this week, we spoke about a likely bounce to open up on Monday, followed by a very likely retracement of that bounce. And that leads us to where we're at today for FOMC day, a nice catalyst in the background, although I think, most of the results are probably baked in for this one. And I want to bring you back to pattern land with regards from the price action pivots indicator. But we actually have seen several things happen in the last couple of days, which, haven't really correlated to significant price action just yet, but it is starting to bake in the likely probabilistic direction for the break of this current consolidation that Bitcoin's more or less been in since mid-May. So this is, a month-long mature consolidation. And if we recall from earlier this week, we were looking at the 2-day time frame as creating what was a rising channel right here. Obviously, the pivots have now shifted, so you don't actually see it. But if you could look at this green line, that would be the top side boundary, and then this blue dotted line would be your bottom side boundary. That one did break a couple days ago, and then the 3-day time frame closed last night, and that one also closed below the bottom boundary. And while these things, can break any which way, they do have a higher probability to break out to the downside. And now that the 2-day time frame and the 3-day time frame have both confirmed that, we look to the 5-day time frame, which is closing not tonight but tomorrow night. And if it does close below about 104.5, we'll see 2-day, 3-day, and 5-day all resolved. And at that point, I really would be looking for Bitcoin to make another leg lower, below this current range low of $100,000 or so. But these things can take time. I still don't think that we're going to see anything of significance today, at least, or probably even this week. Happy to eat my words on that one. But when I say significance, I mean not above the range highs at 110 and not below the range lows at 100 effectively. Just range plays in between there. But as it stands right now, we still have this setup that we were looking at from, I believe it was a week or two ago. This is a very simple setup here, which we were looking at that red moving average from the red moving average and the yellow moving average crossing to the downside as getting a test down to the green moving average about 80% of the time in a profitable manner. You can see the results right here. We're using the Quant Prime service to backtest this one. This would, of course, obviously not be a good strategy play out. We're just using it for general direction analysis on YouTube videos. But yeah, almost 80% of the time, it does at least get down to that green moving average. And as of right now, that green moving average is 101. 200 or so. And it, of course, is getting pulled up quite a fair bit since we last spoke about it. I mean, since we first started speaking about it, which was all the way over here, it was well below $100,000. So, the longer the Bitcoin trades sideways, the more and more it will be pulled up. But that is a natural target. Again, I don't know if it happens today, tomorrow, next week, whatever the fuck it is, but, a likely area of interest, especially as long as Bitcoin is below Monday's high. That is going to be a very, very important pivot here going onwards and forwards, because that is effectively your rejection at just under 109. And if Bitcoin does remain below 109, you do have many things, suggesting that this one will break to the downside. And again, when we do have these patterns over here for the what was on the 2-day and the 3-day, but also on the 5-day, there is a measure move to be made off of this, and we could plot it as such. Again, I'm going to assume that it breaks on this next one. We don't know if it actually breaks on this next one, but that could be pointed all the way down to like 95-ish thousand. Obviously, there would be stops along the way, probably another decent bounce attempt at least at $100,000. And like I said, the invalidation for this at this point is the daily price action pivot high at 109. As long as Bitcoin's below there, I do have a bearish bias. It's not a bearish, we misuse these terms so fucking much, and it really pisses me off because I'm autistic and I want these things to be really well defined. But obviously, looking for a pullback in an overall uptrend is not bearish. Bearish means bear market, down fucking 50, 60, 70%. Anyways, in this case, yes, I would be having a downside bias as long as Bitcoin's below this pivot. Obviously, your most recent price action pivot for the other side would be 102,750. This was last Friday's low. So Bitcoin does come below there, which is effectively the daily 55 as well. I mean, that is another good indication that this thing does want to fall through decently below $100,000, 5, 6, 7% below 100,000. Again, I don't think it's like game over or anything like this just yet, or at least I'm not willing to call it like that. But on the daily, now that I recognize it, you also have another pattern. Oh, baby, we're fucking pattern bros today, and it feels really good. I don't know about that, but this would be a symmetrical triangle, and you could apply this both to the upside and the downside. But to the downside, if you do get an effective break, which would be confirmed below 104 on a daily closure, that one would be pointed down towards 98. To the upside, if Bitcoin were to reclaim again that Monday high, we'd be looking for an implied target somewhere around like 114. At that point, Bitcoin's just going to break out and make new all-time highs, probably closer to 120 overall. But yeah, as it stands right now, Bitcoin's still holding it in on the daily and the 5-day, but the 2-day and the 3-day are already broken, and that comes in combination, by the way, with pretty much every higher term time frame suggesting downside here in terms of momentum. Daily time frame is showing fresh downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 108,850. Sorry, 650, whatever the fuck it is, doesn't matter. $200 difference on a daily time frame, not gonna matter. A 2-day time frame is nice and down as long as Bitcoin's below 108,100. 3-day time frame is also down, actually about to lose a critical zone as long as Bitcoin's below 109,500. And the 5-day time frame, which just closed last night, is going to cross the downside on this new update as long as Bitcoin is below 109,200. But of course, that doesn't close for another 7 days. So yeah, we do see pretty much every time frame moving in the same direction here. By the way, the weekly's doing it as well. 110 is the pivot for this one. So, like I said, I actually don't think that any decent moves to the downside would happen this week. If anything, upside upside surprise would probably be more realistic if it is going to happen at all. But, Bitcoin's kind of wearing out its welcome here. And, this formation as a symmetrical triangle, like it does have a very likely date of resolution when it gets about 70 to 75% full. So that would be next Monday-ish, if it even gets there. So we'll see. So again, that actually does make sense. Like I said, I don't think that we're going to see any major breakdown or breakout until next week. If there's going to be a major move, it's actually going to be the upside in the short term, but I don't think that that's likely to happen based off of everything that we spoke about today. Crazy. Anyways, what else do we have? Yeah, we still have this setup over here as well. This one does give a downside bias based off of the HPDR. Bitcoin's been trading above the median for a very long time, since late April. And we have we've seen volatility contracting since late May. And Bitcoin's been basically the same price since late May right here. And when we see price away from the median plus contracting volatility, that you are nearly guaranteed a test to the median at minimum on the HPDR at some point. There's not a time component of that, by the way, but at some point, yeah. And that is rising up. Now, as of right now, it is about $100,000. So Bitcoin did come back down around there. Almost undoubtedly, you're going to get a pretty decent bounce. Is it going to be a reversal? I don't fucking know, but I'd be expecting a pretty decent bounce, at least on the next pass, assuming that it does get down there. So just be aware of that one, because this one's still not resolved. The 5-day time frame also has the same setup here too, and that one's actually a little bit lower in terms of the area of interest for the median. It's just under $98,000. So, I'd call like a nice little range below those regions. You're probably going to get a decent bounce around those regions, but bounce is not the same thing as reversal. So do be aware of that if you happen to give a fuck, I guess. Anyways, very, very strong opinions today. If you happen to give a fuck, well, I guess. Anyways, pretty short and sweet video here. I think that this is becoming very, very cut and dry for what Bitcoin's doing. Look, above Monday's high, bullish. Until then, I would be expecting this correction to continue onwards and sideways with very likely a downside breakdown, probably below $100,000. And we'll see, what the damage is if and when that does happen. Like I said, I think a move like that is more likely to happen next week than this week, but it doesn't really matter when it happens, right? I mean, it does, but you know what I mean. All right. That's enough for me. Oh, fuck. I should let you know. So yes, we did just push a new update for price action pivots v1.5. You can find it simply by having the PA pivots on your screen, and then there'll be a little purple icon next to it where the settings cog typically is. Just click that. It'll prompt you to update. Takes a second, and then you get the newest features, of which I think a lot of people are going to be very, 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 very happy with, as well as the continued and future updates that are incoming. Because, well, of course, I know the actual man behind it, so I know what's coming up. So fair enough. And by the way, you can also try all of these tools out for free. Everything that we referenced today, Quant Prime, even let's bring up Quantum Wave Bands. I actually haven't looked at this in a few days here. Let's see how this one's been doing with Bitcoin more or less chopping around. Has it handled this well? Has it not handled it well? I don't know what the fuck it's going to look like right now. So let's see. But you can also try this one out for 7 days free as well. All right. Show me the results. And I can just look at the equity curve here. Equity curve stays nice and up and to the right. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I like what I see. Yes, the last couple trades have been losers, but we care about the long term. Yeah, this one was definitely a loser right here. Small win. Decent win, small win, Decent win. Yeah, fair enough. Just trudging along, doing its thing. That's what it's all about. If you're looking for more of a, yeah, I guess, beginner, noob-friendly sort of strategy, this would be maybe something to consider, the quantum wave bounds. Of course, you're more advanced, check out Quant Prime, but you need to be like really advanced, honestly, to make the most out of it. And then other than that, you can also try out the HPDR whole bundle, or everything that Caretaker offers, and even the price action pivots. No code is needed, no nothing, and that's enough shilling for one day. I'd like to wish you the best as always. Take care, much love, and fuck, I forgot. There's one other thing. No, there's not. I was going to bring up a meta signal, but I think it already played out. Let me double check here. Hold on. Where did I put that damn thing? Where did that fucking thing go? God damn it, bastard. That's how you know I have some sort of mental disorder. Yeah, so this one already, this one actually already hit target number 2, didn't it? Yeah, because this one fired off on when? This one fired off, yeah, multiple days ago. Yeah, okay, so this one's already played out. It's already hit all 3 targets, actually. Okay, well, that's enough of that. That one's already done, I guess. But yeah, we'll pick back up tomorrow. Actually, I think with a live stream, in fact. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.